There's definitely a zeitgeist going on here on Swell because we are talking a lot about role models and mentors. And I want to even drop deeper into that with a woman who has a podcast about it. Avis Boone has been a Swellcaster for a while here, and I just discovered that she has a podcast called That's How We Roll, where she talks about, motivating each other and how we inspire each other, whether we're an entrepreneur or a creative or anything in the entertainment industry. Why is that so important? Well, because Avis Boone is an actor, a very, very accomplished actor. Also, she has done a ton of work inside the acting community. She sits on the board of SAG-AFTRA, the New York local board. She is also currently the co-president of Women in the Arts and Media Coalition. She's a member of the New York Women in Film. So she loves art and she loves the whole world of creativity, but she also is very grounded in how do we make it? How do we figure it out? How do we help each other? How do we lift each other? Especially solopreneurs who kind of isolate themselves out of necessity. They've got to focus in. They've got to get their careers and their business going. And it could be really isolating and really, quite frankly, debilitating for some people because we need to vibe off each other. And how do you do it when you're just focusing all day? Her podcast gives us a chance to sort of talk with each other and get involved in the nitty-gritty of life changes and career moves and things like that. And I'm excited about her role here at Swell as a Swellcaster because I know that she is really curious and likes to be in conversation with people. So I just want to kick off a bigger one here with her, and then let's just follow her here on Swell as she's been here before and keep it going and keep our conversation about this stuff kind of flowing because there's nothing more important than feeling connected to people who understand you. Avis, thank you for being here. I guess it's a confusing time, right? I mean, I think people feel like resources are scarce, the economy is weird. It's great to have dreams, but can you follow them when you also what's following you is your mortgage and your bills and that balance. I guess I want to drop into that for a second. When you talk with people and that's how we roll, you get an insight. And do you see any themes emerging? Like what are people feeling and thinking right now in terms of their flexibility? What's the opportunity? Are people feeling more stuck because they're scared? Or are they feeling emboldened to do something next because the world's so delicious? Like, I think it's many things, but I'd love to hear from you. Take a temperature for me. What are people talking about when it comes to owning businesses and making changes? What's going on out there?
Deborah, you make me sound so fantastical, I guess. It's interesting speaking to a lot of women that are accomplished, that women, or maybe not accomplished, but that are creating a business, especially they are creating businesses as of late because maybe they lost their job or and they decided they wanted to finally follow their passions. It's very interesting because a lot of women, I mean, when I started doing the podcast, I really found a lot of women that had so much on the ball. And to go back to what you were saying about being stuck, it's so interesting. They probably, more of them, I think, felt stuck at their 9-to-5 job or whatever their job was that they did, say, prior to the pandemic. And all this being stuck was they probably haven't been stuck since they left that job because they're following their dreams or whatever it is that they've wanted to do when they were making a living, trying to support their families and pay their mortgages and rents and buy a car or send their kids to school. So it's very interesting. And some of my fellow actors that I had the pleasure and the honor of actually talking to, they're like me, where they do 1,000 different things. We just don't create the art because a lot of us are, we're not superstars. We're not the people that that everybody is calling for the role, we have to audition. So in between the auditions and in between the scattered bookings that we're doing, we really have to figure out a way, how can I get my rent paid? How can I get my mortgage paid? How can I keep my phone on so that when the phone rings, I can answer it? So I think that so many of us that are creatives are falling into that trap. And also the same thing is when you start a business. If you are starting something new, it's not always, you're not going to start earning money right away. There's still things that you have to buy. So what do you do in the meantime to buy and support your dream as it is in the beginning? What do you do for that? How do you make sure that there's food on the table? Yeah, I can starve, or, an adult can say, okay, I need to lose weight. I can miss a meal or two. But if you have kids, they don't understand, you can't miss their meals. But it is interesting. How do you support this dream, or how do you support this new business when you are not working full time? I maybe most of us have things that we just said, well, maybe I won't work as much now, so that I can support this dream of mine. And now so many businesses are still virtual, and I think that people realize the importance of being virtual so that people can be home. These entrepreneurs can be home tending to business while they take out less time, because they don't have to travel to a job. They actually take less time to try to support their business while they are, I don't know, working for Amazon, taking calls, being a customer service rep. But all those things allow them time to still fulfill a lot of the dreams that they want to have. Like me being an actor, or any of my actor friends, we have to do what we need to do in order to live. We still need to pay bills, and we still need equipment. We still need things. So I guess, I don't know if I really answered your question, but there's so much more to this conversation. So I'd be interested to hear what other people have to say about this, and maybe I can hone it in a little more. Thanks for that, Deborah. I appreciate it.
Hey, Avis, great to hear your voice here. And the gig economy, I mean, that's it, right? People who have one big passion and focus that builds over time, and they're consistent with it. That's the big dream, is to have that bring in all the money. But in the meantime, there's a concept of there's a well-roundedness also to people who get to do a bunch of other things while they're, cooking the big stew. I'm not sure why I gave you that image. It doesn't really make sense. But, you're in the kitchen and you got this big meal you're going to serve. But in the meantime, you got little hors d'oeuvres, and those are the things that you're doing to keep people from, or keep yourself from starving, I guess. When I was in New York City specifically, I was doing music, and I never wanted to be a bartender. I just didn't want to go into that space. So I did a lot of other really interesting things, from location scout work to tour guiding to a lot of the work I do now, which was in content production. And I think it's really healthy to not diminish the importance of some of those side gigs. So that leads me to kind of a pivot in the conversation a little bit, which is to honor the fact that we don't always know what something is going to yield. Like, we can be doing our major project. Let's say you're an actor, right? But then you also all of a sudden discover podcasting, or you have an amazing side gig, and you learn that you love events and you want to be an event producer. Like, staying awake and aware to the side gigs is as important sometimes as not being blinded by the one focus you have. I've invited a few more voices to this conversation who are in this space, so let's see if they come in. But while we're waiting for voices, as the nature of Swell, I'd love you to talk a little bit about some of the surprises you've had in side gigs that have delighted you as much as your main gig has, or have kind of revealed to you some of the strengths that you didn't even know you had.
Hi, yeah, Deborah, thank you. Just quickly, I am one of those rare actors, performers too, that I never bartended. I never worked as a server at a restaurant. Those are rare people, because I just don't have that. Maybe I don't have that temperament. And I appreciate those that do have that temperament. And I always appreciate the artists that have waited on me, in that space. They do have a certain personality. But yeah, some strengths that I discovered in side hustles are just trying to make a way for myself to pick up extra income. I've always enjoyed taking photos. And so out of that, I've actually taken pictures at events. People have hired me to shoot their private or corporate events. And that's something that, it allowed me to actually work on getting better at my photography, at videography, at editing. So some surprises along the way is that, yes, I need that in my self-taping of my auditions, but I kind of had it already under my belt, because I wanted I had to do that in learning different things that people needed to have done. And if I don't know how to do it today, tomorrow I'll know how to do it. And I think that is something that a lot of gig workers, performers, creatives have to do. Because as you said, we got to make the stew while we're waiting for, like the filet mignon, or, the sea bass or whatever. We have to earn money. And so in order to do that, the more skills that you have, the better you are at being able to do what's needed. When I worked I was doing temp work at different financial institutions, different companies, 9 to 5. And I remember that I was taking a class for PowerPoint, taking a PowerPoint class. I already had been working in Word, but then as I started to do even more, then, when I started to ask for more money, then I had to be able to do different things. But I took a PowerPoint class, and I just happened to start the PowerPoint class one night, and then the very next day, one of the EVPs at this company that I was working at asked me to do this presentation, to create this presentation. And I was like, oh God, my palms were sweating, but I learned this last night, and I did whatever it is that he had to do. I didn't even have I just took whatever I had, remembered my notes from the night before, and did the presentation, passed it back to him with my fingers crossed. And he thought that I hung the moon. I had no idea that he would just be, so overjoyed. Okay, great. I thought he was going to say, this is horrible, but he didn't. He was like, oh, yeah, this is great. Okay, can we add this and that and the other? So by the time, that my next class, I already had it down, and I was able to now not to do the presentation without sweaty palms. But anyway, I just think that for creatives, we always have to be growing and learning, and every opportunity, no matter how small it is an opportunity for growth and an opportunity to be better at something than you were the day before. Again, I know I wondered, maybe I didn't answer the question, but I actually love being in this gig economy, and hopefully in this space, it will allow me to grow and just learn more and work more.
Yeah, learn more, grow more, connect more, and look in the mirror and realize that you're becoming more of who you want to become every day. We're such a accrual of all we've done in the moment we're living right now. It's really kind of a trip. Can you, since we're still vibing back and forth, and I'm loving that we can do this, and that's what's so great about these ongoing conversations amidst the lives of busy people. Can you talk about some of your goals personally in the next, let's say, year, and not resolutions, but just like the idea of yourself stepping into tomorrow and the next week and the next month? Is it focused on just a potpourri of acting and podcasting and getting more skill sets, or what's your vibe with how you see yourself, and how does that direct your daily activity? I'm not a very goal obsessed person. That's why I'm trying to couch this carefully, because I think goals sometimes can really sidetrack us from being present with gifts that are right in front of us, that are saying, hey, do this, you're good at this, this person has this chance for you, make this choice. So I guess I'm stepping lightly on the idea of where you see yourself in a week, but I'm sure you have an idea of what makes you happy and moving towards that happiness. What does that look like for you?
Hey, I agree with you, both of you guys. I appreciate it. Like about now, there is no gender equality or anything over the world. People are like, there's no difference between gender, men or women. Everyone are equal as per me. If men are like physically strong, then women have a potential to take the pain while giving the birth, and it is an appreciable, like paying bills. It is a mandatory. Whatever the fuck you do, you need to pay the bills end of the day. And it's like all about the passion, what you like, you can focus on that, and you love to work for more than 12 hours, 48 hours like that continuously, because you love to do that work. But going against your passion will give you more money, might be sometimes, not all the time, but it will really like crap your life as per me. Rather than that, do what you're passionate about. The work which you love to do, you might be more focused on that than doing some bullshit work.